Santa Fe has always been a massive tourist destination in the state of New Mexico. Recently, though, it was voted the #1 city in America to visit by readers of the Travel plus Leisure magazine. That's funny because nothing has been built in Santa Fe since 2008 when Meow Wolf opened. But that begs the question, what makes the capital city of the chili capital of the world so cool? Well, I'm going to answer that by showing you everything. In this video, we're going to talk about historic landmarks, museums, the arts, nature, shopping, restaurants, resorts, seasonal events. I'm going to touch on everything that happens in Santa Fe. You won't need to do any further research if you watch this entire video to have a great trip and know what's going on in the city. And finally, if you're coming to Santa Fe, you should be going to Albuquerque. Link down in the description for that video. And without further ado, welcome to Santa Fe, which means Holy Faith in Spanish, is the capital city of New Mexico, which is a state in America. Santa Fe was founded around 1610. I've seen a couple different numbers for that founding date. It's definitely in the top 5 oldest cities in the US, and it is the oldest state capital. Santa Fe is home to approximately 90,000 people and is about 7,200 feet above sea level. That's 2,000 feet higher than Denver, making it the highest state capital by elevation. Santa Fe sits in a transition zone between the high desert and montane forest, giving it a unique climate with a combination of pinon juniper woodlands, sagebrush plains, and alpine forests as you get higher in elevation. Santa Fe is bordered on the east by the Sangre de Cristo Mountains and the Santa Fe National Forest. There's open desert and Tesuque Pueblo to the north. There's the Cerrillos Hills to the south, and the Caja del Rio Volcanic Plateau to the west. While Santa Fe does technically have an airport, it's pretty small, so you'll probably be flying into Albuquerque, New Mexico, where you can take either the Rail Runner train up to Santa Fe, you can drive up I-25 to Santa Fe, which takes about an hour, or you can take the Turquoise Trail, which takes a little bit longer but is a very pretty scenic drive. Santa Fe also technically has a river. We love rivers.
Well, they say that Santa Fe.
Being one of the oldest American cities, Santa Fe has a lot of historical places to go and see. First and foremost is the Santa Fe Plaza. This is the place in Santa Fe. This is where music and events and food and shopping and museums are all centrally located within walkable distances. A fun fact is that our government actually made it illegal to skip seeing the plaza. So since you're going to be there anyways, let me tell you about a few more points of interest in the area. The Palace of the Governors was built in 1610. This adobe structure is the oldest public building in continuous use in the United States, and it once housed the Spanish colonial governors. Today there's Native Americans selling jewelry under it, and you can go inside in the New Mexico History Museum. We'll touch on that later. The San Miguel is the oldest church in the continental US. It was built around 1610. They still do weekly service, which is neat. An older church is in Puerto Rico, but we don't talk about that. The oldest house, quote unquote, is right next to the San Miguel Church, and it was built around the 1600s. I don't think it's the oldest. It's probably up there, but it's cool to see, and it's free. The Loreto Chapel is famous for its spiral staircase, which has no nails in it. It's held up by the power of Jesus. It's a cool Gothic chapel. It's $5 to get in. Not a bad thing to see. There's also the St. Francis Cathedral. This is a large French-style stone cathedral completed in 1886. If it's open, take a peek inside. It is super gorgeous in there, and it's missing its bell towers. I'm sorry to point that out. Finally, there's the Manhattan Project plaque. It's just a small plaque pointing out that people would get sent to this specific building here in Santa Fe to then receive a letter to go to Los Alamos. It's just a fun thing to see. Outside of the plaza is the Cross of the Martyrs, which is a memorial to the Franciscan priests killed in the Pueblo Revolt. It's a nice overlook of the city, there's parking up at the top of the hill, and this is a great place to see sunsets and sunrises in Santa Fe. And finally is the Roundhouse. This is our state capitol building and the first round structure ever built on Earth. In addition to the government facilities, there's about $5 million worth of art housed here. Make sure to go down to the basement level and cross over to the other side of the building so you can see all of the collection. And like all state capitals, this is free. Before we touch on the museums, I want to mention the New Mexico Culture Pass. This is a $30 pass. You can buy it online. You could also buy it in person at museums. And what it does is it allows you entry into all of these sites for $30. It's a great deal. There's at least 4 museums in Santa Fe that this pass will get you into that you're gonna want to see anyways. And it provides you access to things down in Albuquerque and in the surrounding area. It's a great deal. Even if you're just going to Santa Fe, you should definitely be picking this up. The first museum we'll talk about is the New Mexico History Museum. This place is right off the plaza, and normally admission is $12, but it's on the Culture Pass. This is going to cover everything from tribal, native life, up into the Spanish, Mexican, American, and then the developmental periods from like 19th to 20th century as New Mexico industrializes. It's also going to give you access to the Palace of the Governors. There's rotating exhibits. I would say you could spend 2 to 3 hours here and you're going to learn a lot about the state of New Mexico. I would highly recommend. Next is El Rancho de las Golondrinas. This is a living history museum on the outskirts of Santa Fe, aiming to show you life in a 1700s Spanish settlement. There are actors wearing historical clothing who stand around and they can tell you everything about the history of the area and the history of Santa Fe. It features a walled village with a church and some farms and a blacksmith and a little schoolhouse. It's a really great demonstration. I think it's great for kids. I really enjoyed it myself, and I think that talking to the staff members, you can really learn a lot about the area's history. It's $10 and it's seasonal, so it's only summer and fall, but if it's open, this is a must-see in my opinion. It's really cool. The New Mexico Military Museum covers New Mexican involvement in World War I, II, Korea, Vietnam. It's free to see, and you could probably spend about an hour here. If you have time in your schedule, this is something that I think is worth going to, but it's really not going to make or break your trip if you skip it. And right next to the Military Museum is the Santa Fe Children's Museum, where they have all types of different children on display. Just kidding. It's, you can go sit in the grass or play with blocks or something here, and it's $15 per person. The Bug and Reptile Museum is $8 and in a strip mall, and they have quite a decent collection of animals here. It's not something I would really recommend to a tourist. I think it's more for local people who have seen a lot of Santa Fe, but it was fun for me. And the Santa Fe Botanical Gardens will take us up to Museum Hill, which is where a lot of the most popular museums are. And at $15, I don't think this is really worth it. I think it's very pretty, but $15 is quite steep for such a small botanic garden. Right across the street from the Botanic Gardens is Museum Hill, which is called that because there's 4 museums right next to each other on it. The first of these is the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture. There's a lot of pottery here, a lot of Indian clothing. There's also native art from all over the world, so they've got some islander stuff, they've got some Plains Indian stuff. It's really cool, it's a great collection. And outside of it, they do dancing sometimes, so they'll bring in people from various tribes and do tribal dances. Usually admission is $12, but that's on the Culture Pass, so don't miss that museum. Right across the plaza from that one is the Museum of International Folk Art, which is displaying folk art from all over the world. This is a really fun art museum. A lot of art museums can be kind of stuffy, but this one's genuinely very fun and exciting to see. Everything is very colorful. I really enjoyed it. It's normally $12, but again, it's on the Culture Pass, so you should be getting that Culture Pass. Right next to the Museum of Indian Arts is the New Mexico Heritage Art Museum. This covers a lot of Southwest art, and it's very much on the small side. You can see it in maybe 30 minutes. It's free, so I can't not recommend something that's free. I would definitely recommend just popping over there and taking a look. And right behind the Museum of International Folk Art is the Wheelwright Museum of the American Indian. This museum costs $10, and its primary strength, they told me, was the Native American jewelry collection. So if that interests you, come check it out. If not, this is definitely something you can skip. And now we return to the Santa Fe Plaza to look at the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. I think Georgia O'Keeffe is a fine artist, and I guess in some ways she represents New Mexico, but I don't think this museum is worth it. At $22, the display space is kind of on the smaller side, and it's only one artist being shown off, so if you really like Georgia O'Keeffe, come see it. If not, I would skip. There's a better museum right across the street called the New Mexico Museum of Art. This museum costs $12 per person, and you can get in on the Culture Pass. I think this is a much better representation of art in New Mexico. It covers a lot of local artists, and it covers like more historic pieces to more modern pieces. The exhibit space is also extremely beautiful. In addition, the New Mexico Museum of Art has a sister location down in the rail yards called the Art Vladam. This place, I can't tell you what it's going to be like, because it's rotating exhibits of modern art, but your admission is going to be included with the New Mexico Museum of Art, or you can use the same culture pass. So why not go check it out? Free stuff rocks. There's also another modern art museum in the rail yards called Site Santa Fe. Just like the Art Vladam, this place has rotating exhibits, so it's going to be hit or miss, but it's free, and anything that's free is a hit, so definitely consider checking this place out. Finally, we have the Museum of Contemporary Native Arts. This place is right in the center of the plaza, and it is free on Fridays only. So go on a Friday, or else it's $10, and the quality is up to whatever rotating exhibits they have going on, which, play the lottery. It's up to you. Santa Fe has a lot of museums. I promise I'm not sponsored. Get the culture pass. That's going to take care of you. Anyways.
Broke my leg in Santa Fe.
Santa Fe is one of the largest art markets in the United States, and you can see this firsthand on Canyon Road. Starting from the southeast corner of the plaza, Canyon Road is about half a mile of historic adobe houses that have been turned into art galleries, restaurants, and boutique shops. It is one of, if not the densest collection of art galleries in the country, with about 80 separate galleries lining the street. There is a diverse amount of art sold there, from Native American to Southwestern, to contemporary stuff, to glass, to sculpture, and much more. There's everything. This one road contains enough art to see for an entire full day, and when I've tried to see it myself, go to every gallery, it took me 4 hours, and I moved pretty swiftly. That's why I caution some of the art museums. There's days worth of art to see on Canyon Road, and a lot of that art is museum quality, and it's free. The only price you'll pay is getting some attitude from some of the shopkeepers, but free with attitude is still free. In my opinion, this is a must-see and should be prioritized before seeing museums, not on the culture pass. Even if you're not an art fan, walking down the street is quaint and charming, so this is a must-see for all visitors in my opinion. The most popular art attraction by far in Santa Fe is Meow Wolf, the House of Eternal Return. This is the original attraction opened by the Meow Wolf group in 2008 in Santa Fe. They now have a couple locations across the Southwest, each of them being quirky, crazy art exhibits. This one is a house with a little mystery to solve, shown to you in paper and on computers, and the house opens up to a mystical world where there's lots of creative art exhibits. Honestly, it's worth seeing once. At $34 though, it's not something I'm eager to return to, even though it's the House of Eternal Returns. But that first time you go see it is pretty magical. They also host concerts at Meow Wolf, and I think that's a unique experience to go see. You can walk around the exhibit freely and then return to the main stage area to see the band as you like. If you're on the fence, I think you should just bite the bullet and go see Meow Wolf. It is genuinely very cool the first time you go see it. Just don't forget some hand sanitizer. The Santa Fe Opera is about 10 minutes north of the city center. It's up in the hills, and you get a great view of the surrounding hills from this amphitheater. It's also very pretty architecturally. It's a beautiful building, and it's one of the only open-air opera houses in the country. Tickets are going to be about $100 on average, which is a little bit on the pricey side, but all of the seats in the amphitheater are pretty great, and it's pretty cool to be able to see the sunset while you're watching an opera. I saw Rigoletto at the theater, and the Italian was on point, the singing was great. It felt like a very professional production, and it's ranked top 10 in terms of budget in the country. So if you're into opera, or if you want to see opera for the first time, I think this is a great place to go. And finally, we're going to touch on some art events in Santa Fe, starting with the Burning of Zozobra. This is essentially a festival where they construct a giant puppet and then burn it to the ground. They fill the puppet with little note cards with people's complaints on them, and it's supposed to symbolize letting go of grief or something. To me, it was just a fun party. They have fireworks and drones, and they have live music before, and there's all kinds of vendors. I think if there was any event worth traveling to Santa Fe specifically for, this would be it. It's really a spectacle and unique in the country, and I thought it was a lot of fun. There are also seasonal art markets in Santa Fe, so there's the Folk Art Market in early July, there is the Spanish Market at the end of July, there's the Indian Market in mid-August. These art markets essentially fill up the plaza with a bunch of tents, and vendors come from all over the state to sell their goods. There's like 50,000 other events in Santa Fe. I feel like they have something going on every single week. Maybe I'll make a separate video covering all of those, but I think Zozobra is really the most notable and the only one that's worth going out of your way to come see.
Straight dripping in turquoise, my Santa Fe queen. One short leg, you got the Santa Fe lean.
If you are a shopaholic, someone who enjoys shop-a-haul, Santa Fe is a great place to go to. The Plaza and Canyon Road both have plenty of shops with interesting things, a lot of which is Southwest specialty items you won't really find anywhere else in the country. Speaking of which, make sure to buy as much turquoise as you can and put together a fit like this. Santa Fe is the only place in the country where this is even remotely acceptable to go out looking like this, so take advantage. Anyways, I'm just going to mention a few more places that are fun to go to, starting with the Mercado at Jackalope. This is more of a garden store primarily, but they also sell furniture and Mexican imports, and they have a glass blowing shop, which is so cool. It's a really neat store in my opinion. The Rail Yard Artisan Market is also something to look out for. This happens on Saturdays and Tuesdays at the Rail Yard Market, and it's essentially just a huge farmer's market. So you can get there, get some food, get some produce if you're, traveling and you want produce for some reason. There's all kinds of cool stuff there. And if you enjoy shopping for more money, there's also Tasuke Casino, which is right by the Santa Fe Opera. It's a pretty new establishment, pretty standard. You can gamble there. That's all I'm going to say about shopping. You'll encounter tons of it naturally by just walking around Santa Fe. Moving on.
Sangre de Cristo, the blood of Christ, mountains of New Mexico.
One of the reasons Santa Fe is such a huge spot for artists is because it's naturally very pretty. The hills and the mountains and the shrubs and the trees all lend to create a very beautiful and unique environment. And when you're coming to Santa Fe, I think you should go and check that environment out. One good way to do that is the Dale Ball Trail System. These are 25 miles of trails running through the Sangre de Cristo Mountains to the east. One particular trail that I really liked was the Atalaya Mountain Trail. You can go for an hour and make it halfway up and get a great view of the city, or you can go for about 2 to 3 hours round trip, make it to the top of the mountain, see a great view of the entire city of Santa Fe, see the surrounding mountains. That's a really pretty trail, and it's all pine. It's not desert, it's cool, it's shaded a lot of the way. It's a great trail. There is a ski resort up north, up in the mountains. I think that's a legit reason to come during the winter to New Mexico. You can get some great skiing in Santa Fe and Taos, and they're very pretty in the winter time. And up by the ski resort is the Hyde Memorial State Park. This is another great place to find some trails, awesome mountain trails. To the west, there's La Cieneguilla petroglyphs. These are super awesome petroglyphs, but they are really hard to find. They are not marked well on the map, and the trail is horrible. You have to scramble up the rocks on the mountain. Wouldn't really recommend it unless you're up for that. If you really want to see petroglyphs, Albuquerque. Go to Albuquerque. Lastly, I want to mention there's a lot of Rio Chama and Rio Grande river rafting based out of Santa Fe. Little expeditions. That's something that you can do. It's not necessarily in Santa Fe, but it's close by.
Let's open up a restaurant in Santa Fe.
As much as I hate this term, Santa Fe is a foodie city or a food destination. There's tons of restaurants. The food culture is huge. There's fine dining. They've got their margarita trail where there's like 50 different margaritas to try. It's madness. It can feel a little bit overwhelming. Because I care very deeply about you, the viewer, I went to Santa Fe during my studies and I interviewed 100 people, asking them what their favorite restaurants were. I tried all the top answers, and I've got some no-nonsense recommendations to help you cut through all of the noise. If you live in Santa Fe, you're going to be like, you did all that work just to recommend these? Yes, I did. The first recommendation is 3 recommendations. It's the holy trinity of New Mexican restaurants in Santa Fe. That would be The Shed, La Choza, and Tomasitas. These 3 are, in my opinion, the best representation of New Mexican culture, New Mexican food. They have great margaritas. The only issue with all 3 of them is they are all packed all the time. They're full. So you're going to need to do some strategy or plan on waiting a little bit, but these are the best of the best for New Mexican food. For breakfast, I would recommend going to El Chili Toreado and getting a burrito. They are pretty cheap, and it was the best burrito that I had in Santa Fe. It's not New Mexican style though. If you want a New Mexican style burrito, I would go to Blake's, which is a local fast food joint you can go through the drive-thru. Also, if you want to do a sit-down restaurant, there's Sunrise Family Restaurant. That's a little bit on the outskirts, but it's got an awesome like New Mexican diner vibe, and the food is delicious. They have giant sopapillas. That's a cool place. I tried a ton of different house margaritas for this video. My favorite was Del Charro's. That place is right off the plaza. It was a good balance of sweet and sour and alcohol. It just tasted delicious to my palate. If you don't like sweetness, Joe's Tequila Bar, they don't use any sweetener. Maria's, they don't use any sweetener in their margaritas. By default, you can ask for some, obviously. Cheapest margarita, Cowgirl Barbecue. During happy hour, margaritas are $6. Happy hour is 2 to 6. They got music. It's a fun dive bar kind of thing. Super cool place. $30, 6 margaritas. How you gonna beat that? When it comes to fine dining, I didn't try anything because I don't want to pay $100 for a plate. I don't love you guys that much. Sorry. Saison, Geronimo, and Coyote Cafe were consistently mentioned as favorites by locals, so do with that information what you will. And one more place I want to mention is Kakawa Chocolate House. This is a fun place that's like a 5-minute walk from the plaza. They do hot chocolate flights. They have like Mesoamerican hot chocolate. They do chocolate sodas. They do chocolate out of the case, ice cream. It's a fun place to go for a snack, just to have a little fun experience in Santa Fe. All of the places that I just mentioned are standouts to me personally and backed by local opinion, but there are plenty of good restaurants. In making this video, I had a ton of good New Mexican food from all over, and I tried a lot of good margaritas. I didn't really have a bad experience anywhere, so if you find a place on the map with good stars, it's probably going to be good. If you're interested in learning about what kind of foods you should be on the lookout for while you're traveling in New Mexico, go check out my Albuquerque video, and if not, we're moving on to... If you really love to spend money, you can experience a type of southwestern luxury that's only available in Santa Fe. Secluded in the hills are Bishop's Lodge and the Four Seasons Rancho Encantado. For only the price of one used 2003 Toyota Corolla every single day, you can stay at these beautiful resorts. They only take payment in used Corollas, I checked. If that's too much, for 20 culture passes a day, you could stay at the 10,000 Waves Japanese Spa Resort, or, right in the plaza, there's the Inn and Spa at Loreto, which has beautiful Puebloan architecture. If you still can't afford that, you can stay at La Fonda, which is right in the center of the plaza, or Ojo Santa Fe, which is a spa on the outskirts of town. That's only going to cost 50 happy hour margaritas a day. If you're more of a normal person, that's okay. I would recommend staying far away from the plaza because the price shoots up the closer you get. If you still want a little bit of that resort luxury feeling, I would recommend driving an hour north up to Ojo Caliente Spa. That is their main location. You can get a day pass for anywhere from $50 to $70 depending on the day, and you can soak all day in all the mineral spas and the mud bath and the pool. You can use it all. That covers most of the tourism information about Santa Fe. There are a few more things I want you to know before coming here. 1, you will need a car. Realistically, it's not feasible to see all of the sights in Santa Fe without a car. You could theoretically take the bus and do bikes and Ubers and walking. It's going to be a lot easier if you get a car. I would recommend it personally. The drivers in Santa Fe, like the rest of New Mexico, are nuts, and they will do things that enrage you and scare you. Drive defensively. Assume the worst. I promise you'll be okay. It'll be fine. 2, Santa Fe is relatively safe as opposed to other cities in New Mexico. You really don't have to worry about getting robbed or crime or things like that. There are some homeless, but it's really not as bad as, say, Albuquerque. And while we're on the topic of Albuquerque, don't skip Albuquerque on your trip to New Mexico. I've talked to a lot of tourists while I was up in Santa Fe, and everyone's just going Santa Fe Taos. You should go Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Taos. The 2 reasons that people gave me for not going to Albuquerque are 1, it's a horrible crime rat nest, and 2, there's nothing to do there. You can literally just not go to the places where there's crime, get a car, and there is a lot of stuff to do there. I made a video. There's certainly more stuff to do in Albuquerque than in Taos, and there is comparable amounts of things to do to Santa Fe, so go watch that video. You can spend as little as 1 day in Albuquerque, but if you're skipping it entirely, you're truly making a mistake. And that's all I have to say about Santa Fe. If this video was helpful, please leave a like, leave a comment, let me know. I really like to hear that my videos are helping people. And I hope you have an awesome trip to New Mexico.